Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's season 10, episode 3, and today we played a Tyne-Wear derby. It's Newcastle v bottom place Sunderland, and we've got 3 points up for grabs to try and secure our place towards the top 4. Things are going well in all competitions at the moment, and as it stands we could be fighting for another trophy or two this year, although the Premier League certainly isn't going to be one of them. We're a little bit too far behind in that one already, and we still seem to be struggling in some games, so I'm not expecting anything more from that. But things have been going well on the pitch, despite a couple of little problems, and more importantly, there's one bit of news off the pitch which could determine the way this season ends. If we go to the job security, it's the one that I'm really looking at most of the time now. Probably once a month I'm having a glance at this screen. One of the jobs we really wanted at the end of last year was AC Milan. They appointed Slaven Bilic, who went from the French league. I think he was in charge of Marseille. He wasn't, it was Club Bruges. I'm getting my clubs mixed up there. He went off to Milan. They've started the season awfully and they're in 14th place, so that job could become available again soon, and it's one I'd most certainly want to take on. It's a superpower of world football. They're struggling in real life as well, and we want to restore them to former glories. They've still got that reputation because they're such a huge club, and I'm sure we'd be able to take them back to the top if we had a good director of football with us. But more importantly for now, let's focus on Newcastle. That's what's going to get us a move, performing well in these games, and things have gone just as you'd have expected them to. We've lost the one game you could have probably predicted, although it was just a narrow defeat, and injuries conspired against us in that game to ensure we didn't have our best 11 available. But in the Europa League things have been plain sailing. We've squeaked our way through in the cup as well, so we've got a quarter-final to look forward to in the competition we're defending, but again unfortunately that's against Man City, so that one's going to be difficult, as well as being our next episode in fact. But since the last one where we beat Chelsea, we beat Rijeka 3-0 at home. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. We went 1-0 up early doors through Ranzan before 2 red cards in 25 minutes, and then Bazan and Martin scored a second and third as our reserve side completely dominated the game. We then won 6-1 away at Huddersfield in the league just 3 days later. Again we were beneficiaries of a red card, but it had no real impact as we were already 3-0 up, and all it actually meant is that we went so attacking that we managed to concede an own goal before half time. But a brilliant performance in that one, followed by a 1-0 defeat against Man City. That was after the international break. We had some real injury problems in defence and midfield, and unfortunately as a result we didn't really look like getting anything out of the game. And then away to Dundalk in midweek, the Irish side, we beat them 4-1. A really good performance from our backup side again, as we managed to put ourselves well on course for a place in the knockout stages. We then won 2-0 away to Southampton. No European hangovers this year, I guess because we're rotating the whole 11 for the Europa League. So Douglas Luiz and Arzani with the goals in that one, before a narrow 2-1 victory against Everton. The backup side doing the job yet again, with a 90th minute winner from Brian Barrett, who had just returned from injury after he scored on the stroke of half time as well. Then a 4-0 dominant win at home to Arsenal in the Premier League. They really aren't the greatest side anymore. They've dropped down to a 4-star reputation. They're a mid-table side and ranked below the likes of Everton now, and it proved as we beat them comfortably in this one, they didn't really put up a fight. And then at home to Dundalk in the reverse fixture in the Europa League, we won 5-0 at home. John Suarez with a hat-trick, Konza and Barrett got a goal as well, and it was plain sailing there as we wrapped up top place in the group. With just 4 games played, we were on 12 points, and we can't really be caught now. Rijeka have got 7, but they're not going to catch us in this one. And Dundalk on 4 points now, unable to catch us, so that means we're definitely in the last 32. Hopefully we can get to the final again, but I think we may be at Milan by that point. And then a 2-0 win away to Burnley before the international break. Mauro Oliveira with a brace, playing for the injured Ranzan. He did a brilliant job, and now at home to Sunderland today, he'll keep his place for the derby. So let's go and have a look at the lineup for today to see the 11 we're putting out against our lowly placed rivals. They're bottom of the league at the moment, but they held us at home last season. In fact, I think we drew both games against them, so hopefully we'll be able to go one better this year. They've got Robbie Di Matteo in charge. They've lost 4 in a row before this one, and we come into this with 5 wins on the bounce, so hopefully it'll be a positive outcome. If we look at our lineup, it's pretty familiar. A couple of players struggling after international duty or due to injuries beforehand, so Arzani's tired and doesn't make the squad. Bazan's coming back from a knock. He picked that up ironically in the under-23 game, and Ranzan's just back from injury, so we'll save him for midweek against Malaga. It means David Reyes in goal, Gomez and Lewis the fullbacks, with Konza and Yanderson in the middle. We've got Douglas Luiz in his familiar Segundo volante role, Billy Gilmore in the middle, Lavinas deputising on the right in place of Arzani. He'll change to a winger duty once we get into the game, and then Oliveira and Barrett behind Bernard up front, both of our strikers struggling for goals at the minute. So that hat-trick against Huddersfield was actually his last set of goals, Bernard, and Martin hasn't scored since either, so about a month since either of them got on the score sheet. Hopefully that'll change today. So let's get into this game, see if we can get a result. It should be comfortable at home, and if it was any other game than our rivals, I'd say it's a banker for 3 points. It's a 3-5-2 for Sunderland, a bit of a defensive layout as well. Normally a formation like this season number 10. They've got Niambi down at centre half and Alfredo Morelos, the temperamental man up front. So hopefully he'll get himself sent off today and give us an opportunity against 10 men. We're going to tell the lads to pick up where they left off, just as Mikel Antia recommends, and we'll get into the first half via this tunnel interview. It's Derby Day, we always enjoy this game, although I'd very much like it to be against another rival on this occasion, so we could keep our good run going. Absolutely, Valdir Ranzan is not ready to start a game. He'll get his turn at home in midweek as we play against Malaga in a slightly less ferocious game. In this one we just want to avoid flying tackles. It's Wallace at the back for Sunderland, just hoofs it out for a throw, and it looks like there's some empty seats over there, which seems a little bit strange. That would certainly never happen. You saw 4,000 fans go away for a Checkatrade Trophy game to follow Newcastle under-23s in the last year in real life, so I'm pretty sure in this game there will never be empty seats. It's Douglas Luiz on the edge of the box, scores lots of specials, and he's done it again. In the big games, Douglas Luiz delivers, and just 75 seconds on the clock, and what a goal that is from the edge. The keeper possibly should have got a stronger hand to it, but we're ahead and on our way. We've just got to make sure we don't concede here. Raya has to tip it over the bar. I think it was Konza who actually got the header in, nearly went past his own keeper, directed it brilliantly, but Raya was equal to it. Konza gets to the ball at the back post from the corner though, and heads it away for one on the other side as we look to shore things up defensively. It's Morelos who's taking a corner. Konza heads away again, Lavinas with a brilliant tackle. I've just forgotten we haven't changed him to a winger, and now Bernard gets it into Oliveira. Might not matter at this point. On the break we are lethal. 8 minutes gone. Oliveira scores the second, and while Bernard's not been scoring goals recently, he's been setting plenty up like that. Let's go and change Lavinas to the winger role, just to stop the wing backs pushing forward. Hopefully that'll keep Badu defending for Sunderland, as we've got another corner now. Lavinas into Konza just over the bar, and with 15 minutes gone we are absolutely rampant as we lead our rivals 2-0 at home. It's Lavinas with an in-swinging corner, Yanderson on the edge of the 6-yard box, bullet header unmarked. It's 3-0 and we are running riot here. What a fantastic first half performance. Sunderland haven't even managed a shot yet. The only time they've hit the target is through Konza's header that was nearly an own goal. A quarter of the game gone, 9 shots, 5 on target, 3/4 of the possession nearly. We are absolutely dominating, and I couldn't be more proud of the lads. We've got through to half-time then, there were no further highlights. Sunderland did manage a shot according to the match stats, but it wasn't on target and we didn't see it on camera. But what a wonderful start to the game, and we can even think about resting players for Thursday. Where we haven't got quite 22 fit players, there is sometimes an occasion where one of the centre-halves needs to start in the Europa League, or one of the central midfielders. So we've got a chance on these occasions just to give one or two of them a rest. The likes of Lavinas, who might have a game in midweek, just so they don't get too tired and risk injury. So we're going to tell the lads to prove a point. We don't want them to let up. What a derby day it'd be for the fans if we could win by 5 or 6. That would certainly get them on side if we had the odd bad result soon. It's Barrett on the left hand side, straight from the centre kick, but unfortunately his cross is blocked out for a throw, and we've got it on the left hand side with Lewis. The highlight ends and it remains 3-0, but it looks like the second half will continue where the first finished. It's a free kick in a dangerous position. Lavinas on the right, headed away well, but it's only back in again. Morelos knocked it away, but only as far as Lavinas, out to the left for Douglas Luiz. He's unmarked to Konza. Brilliant effort from the centre half. It's just wide of the post. I thought he was going to curl it in from 30 there. It looked a fantastic effort, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. We're just 5 minutes off the hour mark, so we will think about subs in a moment, but let's see this corner from Lavinas. We've been so dominant from set pieces today, really strong in the air. Yanderson's goal came came from one, and now we've got another chance. Douglas Luiz, the crossing from Bernard is cleared away. Luiz is on the edge of the box. It's a brilliant strike, and we lead 4-0 with just under an hour gone. We can take anyone off for a rest now, although not Douglas Luiz as he's on a hat-trick, but what a fantastic performance and the perfect derby day for Newcastle. It's Lewis on the left-hand side again, marauding forward with Barrett cutting inside. Oliveira now, he's got a man over at right back, goes for a shot himself though. Werner has to tip it out and he's cleared away by the left back, but it's only as far as the left winger as the highlight unfortunately ends. Lavinas goes for a free kick straight into the wall. We'll forgive him for that one as it's out for a throw-in. 25 minutes left, we'll make some subs in a moment, but let's just see out this one. Can we get ourselves a fifth? We'd love to get Bernard back on the score sheet, that would just be the icing on the cake, and he's got a chance now if Gomez finds the right cross. Bernard's on the end of it, but just over the bar, couldn't direct his header under the crossbar. Unfortunate that, but with 20 to go, we'll go back and see the corner from Lavinas and then make our substitutions. Niambi heads it away as far as Morelos. Can Sunderland counter? We don't want to lose our clean sheet here, so hopefully we can keep them back. It's Gomez who's got on the end of the long ball, and he'll hopefully bring it away. Lavinas over the halfway line on the right hand side. Plenty of time for him. Inside to Douglas Luiz, who don't forget is on a hat-trick. Out to Jamal Lewis, overlapping on the left. Tries to deliver, Lavinas on the end of it. Misses an easy header from 3 or 4 yards. It's wide of the post and out for a goal kick. Let's make our changes then and think about the players who might be involved in midweek. So we want to get one of the centre halves off. I think we'll take Yanderson off in this one just because he's struggling physically a bit more than some of the others. Mafluthi will come on for him as always. Lavinas on the right wing needs a rest as well. He's been playing at right back in the Europa League. Edwards will come on for him, and then it will be those two partnered together on the right hand side of our team when we get to Thursday night. Edwards deserves a run out. He's a really good player. Actually made his England debut since he's been here, but he's barely got a kick for us as we're so strong in that position. The only other one I'm a little bit worried about is Brian Barrett. He's just come back from injury on the left hand side, and although he's played 2 or 3 games now, you can see physically he's struggling a little. So we're going to bring on Mason Greenwood. There's no need for us to take any risks, and with 20 minutes to go we'll make the 3 substitutions, and hopefully it won't affect our attacking focus. It's Douglas Luiz, as I say that, with an absolute screamer from 40 yards. What's the goalkeeper doing? It almost went into the net down the middle. It's 5-0 at home. Douglas Luiz, our holding midfielder, has a hat-trick. They've all been shots from outside the box, and the last one, the keeper, was particularly suspect. Werner's going to get a telling off from his manager. Ironically, he's not got one of the worst ratings in their team, so there must be some pretty awful performances there, as Gilmore puts a free kick over the bar and will comfortably see out the last few minutes. Sunderland not managed a shot on target, just one in the whole game, and Ezri Konsa still had their best effort of the match as he nearly put a header into his own net from a set piece. We're into stoppage time, just 2 minutes off it. It's going to be a 5-0 win against Sunderland, and this has just about been the perfect episode for me to watch us absolutely annihilate our rivals. I know there's a bit of a gulf between us and you'd expect us to win the game, but after the 2 tight affairs last year, 5-0 was certainly not to be expected. A brilliant performance, Douglas Luiz sensational, and that warms us up nicely for Thursday night, where hopefully we can secure top spot in the Europa League group stage. We told the lads it was brilliant. It was absolutely sensational, in fact. If I could give them more praise, I would. The media have said it was a 5-star triumph. You can't argue with that. If your opposition doesn't manage a shot on target and you have 25 shots in the match, you'd expect to win the game 9 times out of 10. I think we're going to praise Douglas Luiz for his performance in front of goal. Although the keeper definitely should have saved the last one, he really got the ball rolling with a good strike in the first half, another one where the keeper was slightly suspect. It's been a really short episode as we didn't have any attacking highlights from Sunderland at all, so that does give me a chance to show you one signing our director of football's been trying to make. I'm not sure if it's actually gone through yet. It has in fact, so on the 1st of January we've got a new player joining us. It's a position we needed a backup player. It's Andre Hajek, I think that is. Again, let me know if I've pronounced it wrong. £2.8 million for an 18-year-old left winger, but he is very much first team ready. Looks a really solid pro, probably a decent Premier League player for a relegation battling club, but he's only going to be a backup option for us, don't forget. He's got Champions League experience, Europa League qualifying experience too, and for £2.8 million, he looks like an absolute superstar. If we go and take a look at his scout summary, he's obviously not going to be earning too much. He's got 2.5-star ability, 4-star potential, and he just looks like the perfect backup for Barrett. Not consistent yet, but he's got plenty of experienced pros here to work with. There's a chance for our director of football to pay off a clause for Bazan as well. It's one thing I'm not actually sure of from this series. I've not been keeping an eye on it. The director of football negotiates these clauses so you can pay them off for a bit less, but I've no idea if they're in charge of transfers and contracts, if they'll agree any of those themselves. So let me know in the comments if you know the answer to that. I'm interested to know, as I may have to intervene if in future there's a deal that will save us money. I'm not quite sure how it works for the director of football. In theory they should be able to deal with this as it falls under the transfer and contracts remit, but I don't know if it happens realistically in FM. I'd imagine it'd be quite a difficult thing for them to implement. But let's go and take a look at the competition screen to see where we stand at the moment. We're in 4th place in the Premier League, but Liverpool have got 2 games in hand. If they win those, they'll be back up in the top 4 and we'll be fighting for 5th and 6th again. Fulham have made their way up as the surprise package of the season. They're up and turning it into a top 7 rather than 6, and that could make things a little bit trickier for Europe if we want to play like we did last year and rest players for the Europa League knockouts. But obviously I'm secretly hoping we'll be at AC Milan by the end of the year. I want to get to the first world superpower of the series. They're a monstrous club and we could take them to the top, and it would be brilliant to win the Champions League with Milan, and even to get abroad for the first time to a major European league is something I'm really interested in doing. I'd love to manage in Spain, Italy and Germany, or as many of them as possible. We're through in the Europa League, that's absolutely brilliant. We'll obviously be back for the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. Can we defend our title with a tough game against City? Hopefully they'll have bigger priorities and play their reserves in that one. So let's go and look at the schedule. We've got a really difficult Christmas period, as well as that Carabao Cup quarter-final. We've also got AC Milan away, Tottenham at home, then we could have a difficult one in the FA Cup 3rd round before Liverpool just a couple of games into January too. So it's a really difficult spell for the club, and hopefully we'll be able to do well and keep up with the chasing pack in the league while progressing in the cup competitions. And then finally, before we finish, we've got one other bit of good news from the club. Young striker Kerwin Houston came in last year's youth intake with 3.5-star potential. He made his debut in the Europa League this year. I think it was in the Rijeka game he came on. We brought him on the left just to get 20 minutes of football, and he did pretty well, to be honest. We're delighted to have debutants coming through the youth intake. He's probably never going to get to first team level, but if we can create professional footballers, that's always important to us in any type of save as we look to bring players through for the future. So although we are eventually looking to move on, things are going pretty well here. Let's check the progress quickly of our coaching qualification. We're still studying at the moment, but it's due to be finished next month at some point, and if that happens just before the AC Milan job becomes available, the continental licence will make such a difference. Despite being out of contract at the end of the year, we've still seen no sign of a new contract, despite how well we're doing on the pitch, and despite the fact we won their first major trophy in many decades in the last season. It seems a little bit strange that they're not fighting to keep us. But if you did enjoy this episode, please put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you thought of that performance against our rivals, and some of those goals from Douglas Luiz. Surely the goalkeeping was a little bit suspect. What do you think about a future move to AC Milan? Obviously, if it's a realistic offer, I have to go. They're a club with a bigger reputation in-game. They're probably going to be able to offer us more money. And more importantly, they're going to be willing to invest to get back to the top of their division. They've already given big experienced managers a chance. So surely now it's a young, hungry manager like me, and we'll be able to take them back to the top on our first European adventure. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one, The Head Coach, and then our One Club series with Torquay United, where we try to take them from the bottom playable league to the top of English and European football. There's also weekly content from some other sports games as well. At the moment it's the turn of Snooker 19. It was newly released a couple of weeks ago and we're 4 or 5 episodes into our career. And then at the end of the month, the official game of the Ashes, Cricket 19, comes out. It's the sort of game I really love. I've really enjoyed the previous editions of the game made by Big Ant, so I'm hoping this one will be just as good. When the game comes out, there'll be plenty of content from that series. We'll do a career mode again, as it's the type of game I prefer to play. And then long term, we'll try to have weekly episodes from it as well, for those of you that are enjoying the series. But a massive thanks for watching and your continued support with this series as always. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed that 5-star performance as we really annihilated our rivals. I'll see you next time for another big episode from Newcastle as we try to impress AC Milan by beating Manchester City in the Carabao Cup quarter-final.